Hello, I'm Dr. Roshan Doug. I'm going to talk a little bit about qualifications that you get at secondary school, such as the GCSEs and the A-levels. Now, these qualifications have been determined by our politicians and policymakers. They've actually created what is now called the national curriculum. The qualifications is an important, integral part of that curriculum. It says to people that everyone has got to have the same set of knowledge and be assessed at the same criteria. So anyone, say, living in the Upper Hebrides will be doing the same kind of assessments as somebody living in Cornwall. So throughout Britain, every 16-year-old is getting the same context and same set of knowledge which they would in any other part of the country. Now that to me rings bells because it says that there is a problem with the way in which we see education. Education has become compartmentalized in little components. So we got maths and we got English, we got sciences, but there's nothing that is integrating these skills. Now, many of the people who have done very, very well in education tend to be people who comply to the rules, the laws relating to how one behaves in a school. And to get the high marks, you have to more or less regurgitate whatever it is that the teacher is giving you in terms of what they want you to gain to get that A grade or a B grade, or in the case of GCSEs English, the grade 9. Now, although I sympathize with the way in which teachers and educationalists actually see this and they prioritize the outcomes, the education, the examinations, I don't think it's actually a worthwhile pursuit. And I would say that what we are doing in education is destroying the very fabrics that make an individual pupil a unique character. What we're doing is destroying creativity and originality, and instead replacing it with dull set of facts and figures which may or may not be of any use to a pupil, especially when they get to 21 or they're working in some kind of an office. Much of what we are doing in education is actually a waste of time. And I say that as a professor in education. I say it as an educationalist myself and somebody who is advising examining boards. The education system we have got is really a broken one, and it needs remolding. The problem is that everyone, irrespective of which country, which culture you are from, have got the same model, and that really rings alarm bells for me, because if you've got the same set of criteria for every child, we have got a serious problem. We're not actually trying to create unique individuals. What we're doing is creating robots. We're creating people who are going to be fit for the world of work. And even that, I would argue, the national curriculum fails on. Much of what we do in the national curriculum, I think, is to do with social policy. And what we have to do as educationalists, as teachers, is to reinforce that social policy to the pupils. And what we do then is to say, this is right and this is wrong. This is what you got to believe and this you can't believe. This is what you can say and this you can't. Now, critical thinking, which is supposed to be the central part of any learning program, has been totally disbanded, and what we've got is a system that doesn't really exist. So critical thinking at one time was the norm. It was really integral part of a program dealing with children's learning. Now it is actually something that you can be penalized for. Not only penalized, but you can be reprimanded severely if you are not towing the party line. And that to me really says that the GCSEs that you are going to be doing, the A levels you're going to be doing, are important because they're going to get you into university, but they are not the be all and end all. What I suggest you do is to think about where you want to go, what you want to do. Some of the most famous and successful people in the world have been those with very little education. They don't rely on a set of facts given to them by a teacher. What they do is rely on gaining their own knowledge of the world that they live in. And that means experiencing wide range of skills, experiencing wide range of tools, and getting used to various other skills apart from what the teachers are teaching you in school. And these skills might be interpersonal skills, communication skills, people management skills. All these are going to be important when you are working, and that is what is going to make you successful. Thank you for listening to me, and I will be back for another lecture tomorrow.